good at predicting Premier League? I'm not. I'm crap. Geo's a lot better than I am. Do you think that Ange ball is going to get pepped because of their high defensive line this weekend? Do you think that Eddie Howe is going to administer a spanking to Eric Ten Hag? It's not that kind of video. Honestly, it's really not. Then you're in the right place. Oh, maybe that is a different website, actually. Would you like the opportunity to win some money by using your nous about Premier League football? Then you're definitely in the right place, because myself and Geo are launching a new series. It's going to be called Premier League Predictions or something like that. And myself and Geo will talk you through 6 of the upcoming Premier League fixtures. We'll be telling you what we think of the teams, the managers, the chances, and ultimately giving you a scoreline. I suggest you ignore what we say and pick your own scorelines, but we do want you to join in. Best of all, we're going to give you the opportunity to win a lot of money if you get it right. Do you know Super 6? If you're into that type of thing, you'll understand what Super 6 is. Basically, 6 Premier League fixtures, pick the scorelines. Believe it or not, the top prize on this is £2 million. Now, look, you've got to get all 6 of these fixtures right. It's not easy to do, but even if you get as few as 3 correct, then you can still win a share of the prize pool. Last week, 3 people won £1,666 each, all without having to place any money down at all. Use the link below, it's BetMGM, download the app or go onto the website, create an account. The point where it says, do you want to deposit any money? Just don't click on it. Click on the bit that says golden goals and allow you to play this game for free. Look, if you do like your betting, and if you deposit £10, they give you £40 worth of free bets. However, we'd ask you to bet responsibly on this sort of stuff. It is only available for 18s and over. We're very, very grateful to them for sponsoring this video series. Go and check it out. I would definitely advise you to go and play that free game. Myself and Gio will be doing it. Anyway, we're going to get on to now what we think is going to be happening in the Premier League games this weekend.
We're kicking it off tomorrow at 3 o'clock, which is Arsenal against Wolves. I'll tell you what, I've got a lot of sympathy for Wolves at the minute. They're getting mugged off big time by VAR in the Premier League. They got robbed at Fulham of a point. The penalty shout, red cards, it was just horrific. Honestly, how Gary O'Neill hasn't punched anyone yet, I do not know. But I do think this one might just be one game too far. I've been impressed by Wolves, but unfortunately, I've also been really impressed by Arsenal, who thumped Lens 6-0 during the week, 5-0 up at half-time.
With Kai Havertz starting to come good. And it's really funny. I went, when I was doing a drive, I was on a drive down from Northampton a couple of days ago, and I switched on the radio, and it seemed to have gone, the narrative on the radio from Kai Havertz is a massive waste of money to a Chelsea fan saying, we need to get Kai Havertz back. So how your fortunes can change that quickly in football. Gary O'Neill's done a great job, hasn't he? And it's funny about fortunes changing in football, because if you'd have asked me earlier on in the season, would Bournemouth have regretted their decision to let O'Neill go? I said, yeah, absolutely. But even that's starting to change. Bournemouth are getting better and looking a bit swashbuckling. We'll discuss them later on. But it's got to be an Arsenal win. Arsenal at home, you say, for this one?
Yeah.
I still think they'll it's going to have taken a little something out of them. I'm going to go with a 3-1 Arsenal win here.
I'm going to say 2-1 Arsenal. I think Wolves are missing a couple of key players. If I'm correct off the top of my head, they're missing Lamina and there's someone else. They got bookings against Fulham, which makes them miss this game. So yeah, I've been impressed by both of these teams actually. I think it'll be quite a good game, to be honest with you. This is the one I might tune into at 3 o'clock. Arsenal Wolves. I think it'll be a close one. So 2-1 for me. And moving on to Turf Moor, where we were last weekend as Burnley host fellow relegation rivals Sheffield United.
Oh, well, this is interesting, isn't it? It's Higginbottom, isn't it? Their manager.
Yeah.
He's certainly coming. I keep on hearing a lot of pressure on him. Actually, this is a crucial game. It really is. What with Luton winning against Crystal Palace and Bournemouth getting better, that 3-4 scenario for the relegation is looking less and less likely. Basically, if they want to do anything, either Sheffield United or Burnley, they're going to need to start doing it now. I've got to say, though, Burnley were impressive against Crystal Palace, even though they lost. Burnley were impressive against us. They're at home, and they've not been not been great for them, has it? Been at home, but they've got to do it, Gio. They've got to do it. Yeah, I liked what I saw. A few things on Burnley. We've played both teams this season. I'm gonna go and Burnley. Do you know what? From what I've seen, Burnley were better than Sheffield United when we played them. I'm gonna go for a 2-0 Burnley win.
Interesting. Well, last season, both of them won their home games. Burnley won 2-0, I think, at Turf Moor last season Championship. Sheffield United won 5-2 at their place. Well, I remember watching that game. It was fantastic. Sheffield United have some goals in their team, actually. You know, they got beat by Bournemouth, but they scored. Granted, it was pretty late on. Drew away to Brighton, which was a good result, albeit their goal was an own goal. But I don't like all these asterisks in football where you keep playing down the fortunes of a team. Got beat at home to Man United, but again, they scored in that one. So there is goals in the Sheffield United team. Sure. I think Archer's starting to sort of find his feet a little bit as well. So I'm going to say 1-1. I'm going to go down the middle because it's a little bit do or die this game already. It's quite early in the season, but I think a draw is a horrific result for both teams, actually, because, like you said, that Bournemouth are starting to pull away from them a little bit. They need to win. This game could be an entertainer as well, and I'm being quite conservative going 1-1. That's just because of my lack of faith in these teams scoring. But it could easily be 3-3 or 4-4 this one. They have to win. A draw doesn't really do them any good. So moving on to the 8 p.m. kickoff on Saturday, and it's getting tasty at St. James's as Newcastle United host Manchester United.
Yeah, I mean, they really... There was a lot of controversy in the Champions League fixture of PSG at Newcastle place. And there's a lot of... It's a sort of lot of criticism of the referee that how he seemed to want PSG to get back into the game. That being said, there was actually a penalty call earlier on in the game, which he could have given much easier. So I don't think that's the case. Didn't see conspiracy there. PSG were all over Newcastle. They really were. But I do think there's a difference between Newcastle's draw with PSG and Man United. Did they travel to Turkey?
Yeah.
Away. So they both had away games. I think Newcastle looked really good despite being depleted by an injury. And I've got to say, Livramento, and I know you were the first one to spot him, Gio, not in the country, in Hammer's chat. There was some times against PSG, even though they were under the cosh, where he looked really good. Well, what a player is. I'm jealous, I will say, and jealous. The Newcastle fans will always call me salty. Don't know why. I spend a lot of time walking down by the seaside, clearly. And they would call me salty again. But I would admit I am jealous of Livramento, particularly at West Ham. I suspect Newcastle are going to win this at St James's Park.
Yeah, and I think...
I've got the scoreline.
Oh, I need your score, don't I? Yeah.
You do need to score. I think you might see a whipping.
Chelsea.
I'm going to go with Newcastle United 4, Manchester United 1.
Crikey. I'm going home win as well. I'm going 2-0 Newcastle. I think there was controversy in that PSG game because the penalty was so late as well. The earlier call, there was still time for PSG to get back into the game, wasn't there? At this point, it was like last chance saloon. And there's no way it's a penalty, not only in terms of opinion, but also by the rule book, which is the ball gets deflected off your body onto your arm. It's not a foul. That is what happened. So there was controversy in it. I think Newcastle can feel mugged right off big time. The Man United Galatasaray game, I absolutely loved it. I was hooked. I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. Two teams just going for it. They're on the kitchen sink at each other. Two sides defensively, not great offensively. Had a bit about them. There were some really good goals on show. Two teams just really needing to win. I thought it was an incredibly entertaining game. I thought the Newcastle PSG one was entertaining as well, though Newcastle defended for large parts. I can enjoy that as a spectacle when it doesn't really involve my team. But the thing is, that would be the equivalent of us doing it to Man City. And you know what? I enjoyed it when we did it to Chelsea earlier on the season. When we were winning and defending, I quite enjoy us defending. But I was going, what are you going to do about it? I quite enjoy it. It's when we do it against Burnley, I've got an issue. But I quite enjoyed watching Newcastle frustrate the mega stars of PSG and holding their own, and Pope was fantastic. Trippier was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. The Man U game I really enjoyed as well for a completely different reason. I think Newcastle could rip this Man U team apart if they're not careful. But for some reason, form-wise in the Premier League, Man United are the most informed team in the Premier League, which is just scandalous. It sounds wrong saying it, that Man U are the most formed team in the Premier League. You think, no, they're not. I don't even believe myself, although factually it's correct.
Well, them and Aston Villa, yes.
Yeah, but
they are.
It doesn't look right. They're not playing very well, but they're getting results. Hey,
he saved his job for the time being, hasn't he? Certainly.
So I'm going to say Newcastle 2, Man United 1. Moving on to Sundays. We've got 3 games from Sunday. We're starting with Chelsea against Brighton.
Interesting one. Chelsea at home for this one. I mean, Chelsea have pretty much tried to buy Brighton, but it's not really done them too much credit at the moment, because obviously Brighton are above them in the league, and by some distance, it has to be said. Chelsea's form is bad. 1 win in the last 5, despite a certain narrative that I've been hearing. How Pochettino has turned things around. I'm certainly not sure that's the case at the moment. Having said that, their draw against, it was impressive, wasn't it? Their draw against Man City was impressive. And I've been really impressed with what I've seen with Cole Palmer there since they signed him. I wonder if Manchester City are a bit sick about that. I think I would be. I'm jealous again, very jealous West Ham fan today. Salty again, because I would have liked us to have got him. Brighton, they played. Well, they're through. They've guaranteed themselves knockout football in Europe. Obviously, Chelsea are not in Europe as well, so I do wonder if that's going to factor into it. I think it might. Do you know what, Joe? I think it might. And form suggests otherwise, actually. But I'm actually going to go with a slender Glenda Chelsea win here. I'm going to go with Chelsea 1, Brighton 0. I don't know why.
I can see why you're doing that. I've gone 1-1. I'm not impressed by either side, really.
Sure.
Brighton, I thought they'd be better this season. I thought they would. My own fault for hyping up De Zerbi's influence at Brighton last season. But recent results, drawn against Everton, drawn against Sheffield United, narrowly beaten Nottingham Forest. We've played these 3 teams recently, and neither of them look good. I know Everton beat us, but it didn't mean they look good. We just look bad. So their results aren't great domestically. Adding the fact they've had the European tournament in there too, it's not ideal preparation for them. Of course, they've got their injuries as well, and quite a lot of players they are missing. But who doesn't have injuries at this stage of the season and will pick up more in December? But Chelsea are an absolute basket case of a club. It feels like whenever Pochettino's just getting a little bit of stability in there, he's starting 11, the fans are starting to warm to him and his football, it all just kicks off again. Got hammered by Newcastle, fans are pissed off again. So I'm going to say 1-1 for this one. Now moving north, we're heading up to Liverpool, who host Fulham.
Yeah, I can only see a really healthy Liverpool win here. Actually, they've great news. Diaz, as I understand it, got his dad back. In fact, I saw pictures of his dad in one of the games, but we travelled to one of their recent games, actually, because he got obviously, those who don't know, his parents got kidnapped, didn't they? So I don't know how that ended up, but I guess the ransom was paid, and anyway, he'll be happy. So yeah, his dad was seen.
I think I could be wrong about this. I think 2 members of a cartel, I assume, kidnapped his old man. And then when it came out, the bosses of the cartel said, hang on a minute, they weren't supposed to, so they released him because they weren't meant to kidnap him.
Right. That's some disorganised kidnapping, quite frankly, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
I reckon they were told to do it and the bosses bottled it.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. Hold on, he's mind you, they've done it before, haven't they? I can't remember what the guy's name was. They killed a player in the World Cup. I can't remember the story. There'll be someone that put it in the comments. They killed a footballer, a national footballer. I don't want to say too much because I've probably got the story slightly wrong, but someone will certainly mention it in the comments.
It was a vital goal. He either missed or
it was something like that, wasn't it? Yeah.
I think was it World Cup or qualification for World Cup, and he missed a pen or he missed a really good chance or somebody, so they held him responsible for them losing.
So they go, maybe they're going soft. Yeah. But anyway, I was really pleased to see him there and really enjoying himself. What was really interesting was listening to Talk Sport, and I had John Obi Mikel on there. And on the Talk Sport, John Obi Mikel said, I completely empathise, totally understand and what Diaz is going through, because my parents got kidnapped. What? Really? Well, far more common. Bloody lucky, aren't we? Really, we don't have to live with all that. Look, Liverpool are. I think they rested some players. I think they still played Salah in midweek. They started Salah, but there was a heavily rotated team. I didn't see the game, but I remember seeing the lineup.
9 changes.
Was there? Okay.
Yeah. Mikas and Salah were the 2 that started.
They're going to be fit and firing. They look to be coming into some better form as well, Liverpool, and they're sort of there or thereabouts, and they stayed. They're a good team. Liverpool, good team. Fulham, are not what they were last season, which was an excellent season, but obviously no massive threat to them. I think Liverpool might win 2-0.
I'm going to say 3-0. I think Fulham could get the cartel to kidnap Luis Diaz himself during the game, and Liverpool would still win handsomely for this one. I don't think Fulham carry any threat whatsoever. Speaking of Mikel, he was on Rio Ferdinand's podcast, and he was saying for African players it's difficult because the families want money. The families want your money. He said, so basically someone got with his sister and they kept having kids, and the bloke turned around to Mikel and was like, we need money for the kid. And he was like, we stop having kids. But he basically expected Mikel to fund their family. He said, so because there wasn't much money within the family over in Africa, he has to pay for all the family, every single one. Basically, his salary goes to the family, and people would marry into Mikel's family to get a payout from him. So it's just, you just don't consider or hear this side of football.
Funny enough, a few years ago, we were doing Hammers Chat. And I won't say the player's name. I'll tell you afterwards. I heard a similar thing about a West Ham player, and somebody at the club was saying that this guy is so driven to do well. He's an absolute workhorse because he is just. No, I'm not saying he wasn't being exploited, by the way, but he felt responsible for the whole village. Literally, his West Ham wages were funding a whole village. I know so often we hear about charities and that people do, but it wasn't even so much that. He was literally paying for the school. He was paying for everything there, and it's just saying how driven a lot of these African players are.
Last game of the weekend over on BetMGM. Predictions is Manchester City hosting Tottenham.
Oh, bad news for Tottenham. Look, if Doku plays, he's a problem, particularly the way Bernardo Silva seems to have an understanding of what he wants to do. Bernardo Silva's was when I saw him recently, was looking really, really good. Haaland's just, I don't think he's been that great this season, but he's scoring. He's just smashed the Premier League record actually as well. And he's some player. Some coach really, Guardiola. I can't remember what game it was. One of the last. I think I've seen a lot of City recently. There was a point where Nathan Ake, I'm not being funny, he looked like Ronaldinho the way he was dribbling through. I thought, hold on a second, what's he done? What's he done to this centre half? What's he done to him? It was immense going forward. He was really, really good. Phil Foden is looking dangerously good at the moment. I could watch that kid play football all day. It was honestly mouth-watering watching him and Bernardo Silva. Were just amazing. So, and I don't even think City have hit top gear, by the way. Let me just say that. Tottenham have got a bit of an injury crisis. Great guy, really good coach. Postecoglou would have loved him at West Ham, but he seems to have lost his marbles just a little bit in terms defensively. I think even though he had, and I know he's not everyone's favourite player, but when you have no centre-backs, you play Eric Dyer, right? What you don't do is start shoehorning other people and playing them in there. So, he's not even doing that. I think he's got some problems defensively, both in terms of his selection of personnel and injuries. He's missing other key players as well. And you do not want to have uncertainty defensively when you're playing Manchester City. And I think it'd be really, really. I'm going to go a whooping as well. I'm going to have another whooping here. I'm going to go that same scoreline. I'm going to say Man City 4, Tottenham 1.
Ooh, close to mine. I've gone 4-2 Man City. I think if Spurs play their high line, which I think they will, that'll play into one of the two of the Man City players' hands. I think Postecoglou will go for it. He'll turn up at the Etihad and try and win. He just doesn't have the players available in order to do that. You know, Bentancur came back last week, looked fantastic, then went off injured. So even the players he's getting into the team are also getting injured. So he's missing, you know, a starting 11, Maddison being the main one, but Van der Veen, Romero, Bentancur now. There's a lot of players out there are pivotal to the way that Spurs play, and that's going to cost them. You know, he's lost 3 games in a row now as manager. You know, this could be the 4th defeat in a row, and people always say, "Hey, you're only 5 defeats away from being sacked." Well, I don't think he'll get sacked, but this is where the myth will get burst, because there's a good chance Spurs could lose 5 games in a row, because obviously they play Man City, then they play West Ham. So
there you go.
5 defeats in a row for Spurs coming up.
That last minute Souček winner that'll break Spurs' hearts.
I think it'll be a really entertaining game at the Etihad, though, because both managers will want to win the game. They'll play the game to win it, but I do think Haaland's pace could be electric against the Spurs defence, because he's probably going to be up against Emerson Royale and Ben Davies at centre back as well, and it could be ugly for Spurs fans, but I do think they'll pose their own threat going forward. Like I said, he will still attack. He will have Son up there, and you'll have Kulusevski, Brennan Johnson, pace on the wings. I think Spurs will score. So I'll say 4-2 Man City.
Well, there you go. Thanks for tuning in to our Premier League prediction. Bit of a mishmash, really, wasn't it? But I certainly enjoyed talking about it. I've been watching a lot more Premier League this season, actually. We would obviously urge you to go and download the app from the link below. But let me be perfectly honest with you, it is a betting app. So it's 18 years and above. But the game, which is called Golden Goals, which you're asking you to go and play, requires no deposit. So there'll be a point when you download the app and it will say, do you want to put anything deposit? Just click off that and just click on the Golden Goals. That's completely free to play, and it does have just huge, monstrous prizes. If you do like your betting, and you do like to have a little flutter on the football or whatever it is, there is a really good deal when you sign up, which is if you do deposit £10, then you get £40 worth of free bets, which is it's an introductory offer. It's I guess most of them have it, but there's a really good one. Now, one thing that always does amuse me about these apps, it does have a way that you can sort of manage your spending limits, because obviously it is important to bet responsibly. So I'm sure most of you, like me, will be able to have a bet and you know, completely control your spending. And if you're like me, then you bet 25 pence here and there and occasionally. But it's very good just to put your monthly spending limit on it. It's going to be the first thing it offers you, is the opportunity to do that. So please do it. But it is a free-to-play game with a golden goal. The link's in the description below. We'd very much appreciate it if you joined us. And of course, when we do this next week, our Premier League prediction, West Ham will be in the list of 6 games for the next game week. So we'd be very, very interested to know what you've done. If you do somehow win the £2 million, I've got a little bit of a wobbly cable on my camera here, which is why it's going out of focus. So
love you.
Yeah. Oh, shut up. I say love you. I just spat as I spoke. I didn't mean to spit at you. There you go. So probably a lens cleaner as well. Just saying, you know, might come our way. Thanks for tuning in. Loads and loads of content coming up, because West Ham got loads of games. Geo, thank you very much indeed, mate.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers.